small volcanic island of Montserrat. And Mark made me very green by telling me a story about flying in a twin-propeller aeroplane with Sir George Martin, whose air studios are, of course, on Montserrat, and hearing the story of the recording of the Beatles at the air studios and of Police and all that sort of thing. And there was Mark telling me the story, and I thought, that's posher than me, and it's cooler than me.
That's so posh.
Yeah, so it didn't happen to me. That interesting thing didn't happen to me. It was my friend Mark.
Harry, have you either met anyone interesting or been in a tent in a living room this week?
No.
Cheers, mate. Bright Eyes Make a Plan to Love Me from the current album Casadega. Went to see Bright Eyes earlier in the week, and it was the most enjoyable gig at Shepherd's Bush Empire, but ruined, in part, by a couple of blokes, and I've increasingly noticed it now at gigs, just talking loudly. A beautiful song like that comes on, Make a Plan to Love Me, and you just hear it go, alright, Roy, how's it going, mate? Not bad, mate, yeah, and it's always a conversation of no interest. It's always something that's of no consequence. Oh, actually, when I was in the pub and it was really noisy, I was like, can you hear me? And she was like, no, I can't hear. I was like, can you hear me? And I don't want to go over there and go, that's not anecdote, it's not personality, it's nothing, it's just voices ruining this concert. And I don't understand who goes to see music like this, who's obviously got at least some interest in good music to bother to go to a Bright Eyes gig, who then goes and just talks loudly through the whole thing. It infuriates me enormously. And so again, I put out an appeal, as I have done in the past with bad house music in pubs. Please stop talking loudly in gigs. Obviously, if I'm talking loudly, forgive me. I have different rules. Different rules apply for me. It's probably a fascinating conversation about when I met Bono or something. But generally, I just think too much noise, too much talking in concerts, particularly during the slow tunes, it's insania. It's absolute insania. A word you don't hear often enough.
Not that I'm asking you to, but if you went to gigs more often with my dad, he's been known to knock people out for doing that before.
Really?
So maybe you should do that, yeah.
Oh, wow. Have you actually been to a gig where
back in his youth.
Yeah, sure, so you
actually, now a glare will suffice.
Really,
I've seen my dad wilt a man with a stare, so yeah.
I wish I had that power, you see. Because your father's a man who can walk into a pub, I suspect, and say, pint of best, please, chief. Whereas I couldn't get away with that.
He just needs to nod.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all.
They know.
They know.
I saw a gig by Low when I was back in Bristol, and everyone was very sort of reverential to the band. No one talked during their incredibly quiet set, but people were buying drinks, and the crowd were getting annoyed by the till opening and shutting. People were getting angry at the sound of the till. So any noise.
Often
is
they'll
bad.
have one of those kind of bins for empty bottles, which you just throw them in. And it's sort of, and you want to, couldn't you just carefully place each one in? That's the way to do it. It's a gig. It's a music gig. I don't know. Just something about the whole thing. It's not well designed. Don't get me started on people who talk in the cinema.
Mobile phones in the cinema.
Oh, please, Sammy, you've actually upset me and annoyed me. Get out. Even by the very mention of it has ruined it. After the trail, we'll hear a choice from Harry. So the reason I have my cronies in the studio is not just to make banter with, but also for them to introduce music to me, suggest songs that I may not be familiar with. Harry, you're first up this week, and what have you got for me?
Yeah, well, Steve, when we were at Glastonbury, obviously it was a cavalcade of celebrities, and I was thinking about how I now react amongst celebrities. I was thinking back to when I was in Bristol, because we didn't see many celebrities in Bristol. I remember once after school, we skipped about 10 minutes early, got the bus at Park Street to see Rolf Harris signing some books, which was quite a treat.
Still got a Rolf Roo drawn by Rolf.
Yeah, I've still got mine as well. But the only other celeb I used to see in Bristol was the lead singer of this band, Strangelove, Patrick Duff, who was about 6'3", ridiculous cheekbones, had a kind of goth light dress sense to him, but he was a very striking man, and whenever you saw him, it was just very impressive. And so being around celebrities was a weird thing. When I moved to London, my first lunchtime, I saw Norman Lamont and Christopher Biggins within 10 minutes.
Were they together? Were they hanging out together?
Sadly, they weren't, but walking down the Strand.
I'd like to think that that he was offering fiscal advice to Lamont in his heyday. Fiscal advice.
But anyway, yeah, so it was just a whole thing of coming to London, and you see more celebrities, and so you...
When I first moved up, the first person I saw, literally got off the train, Martin Clunes.
Really?
Couldn't believe my luck.
It's just such a treat, isn't it?
Clumsy, always a treat.
And you take it for granted now. But yeah, so I was just thinking back to my days of seeing the lead singer out of Strangelove, and what a great band they were. And this track is called Sand. It's kind of an upbeat version of their swirling, gloomy rock, and it's very nice.
Strangelove and Sand, the choice of Harry on this week's Steve Show. I'm going to race through this next link because I want to squeeze in Frank Black before the news. You remember his album Teenager of the Year, Harry? I know you were a big fan of it.
Fantastic.
It was his second solo album, and you'll find Frank here in a more laid-back vibe. If you're only used to him in the Pixies, then enjoy Sir Rockabye. From his second solo album, Teenager of the Year, that's Frank Black of, as I say, Pixies fame, you'll all know that, and Sir Rockabye. After the news, a listener choice, plus I delve into the pigeonhole. From 1986, the House Martins and Happy Hour. I'm sure you, like me, have always been fascinated by the lives of the House Martins after they split up in 1988. Obviously, Paul Heaton, we know, went on to do Beautiful South. Norman Cook, obviously, Fatboy Slim. The guitarist Dan Cullimore, I think, actually maybe even lives in Bristol, I think. But anyway, he's a children's writer. He writes children's books, and he also does children's animation. And the drummer Hugh Whitaker, of course, went to prison after he attacked a former business associate with an axe. I think I read an interview with Paul Heaton once where he said he posed as a postman. I don't think the guy died. I think he survived. But I always think whenever you read things like that, it's the idea of choosing an axe to go out
Maximum
with an
force.
axe. I mean, I don't even have an axe. I'd have to go to B&Q, buy an axe, get on the tube, or have my driver take me, to my associate's house. I'm assuming Ricky. Vroom, head axe. It's just so barbaric. It's extraordinary. But I don't know whether he's currently in my Where Are They Now drawer, because I don't know what he's up to. I know he's just come out of prison, but not just, but he came out of prison.
Didn't Stuart Goddard, aka Adamant, throw a car engine through a pub window once as well?
I think
he was very ill.
He was properly mental.
Obviously, he went for a bad time, but that was a strange thing to throw through a pub
I just
window.
suddenly realised.
Well,
Do you think that the axe is why Fatboy later did that song "Weapon of Choice"?
I
Do you think that was maybe he was having a conversation around the pub? What would be your weapon of choice?
Hugh? I needn't ask you.
I needn't ask Hugh.
Nice.
Just like I thought, I'd just lower the tone, I'd just reduce everything to a pun.
Yeah.
And I like to think we've killed the mood perfectly, which is exactly the moment, therefore, to speak to one of our listeners, because of course, even though I suggest music to you and my cronies here play records, it's very much for you, the listener, as well, to get in touch and suggest songs to me. And we have on the line, hopefully, I'm here to speak to Heather.
Yeah, hi there.
Hello, Heather. Where are you calling from?
I'm from Edinburgh.
Oh, and is it nice it's very pleasant in London today?
No, it's kind of threatening rain clouds, so it's going to be lashing rain, I think, later on again.
Do you think that reflects the mood of the Scotch?
Well, I think it can.
That's the correct pronunciation. It's Scotch, isn't it? You're Scotch.
No, I think you're supposed to say Scottish.
Oh, really? I'm not sure. But what do you do? What's your life's?
Well, I'm an artist, and at the moment I am working in my studio.
Right.
And it's actually, my studio is in the living room for my boyfriend's flat.
Nice. Whereas your flat is spotless.
Yeah, his has got paint all over the place. But he's a composer, so he's working in his bedroom.
Wow, you're so bohemian. What an amazing bohemian couple. And what sort of art do you do? I mean, can you describe it for us?
Yeah, I can. I use a lot of birds and animals, and the idea is...
Not real birds and animals. You're not painting with a badger.
I draw them and paint them.
I see.
So, and I put them into different situations where you wouldn't expect to see them.
Working in a call centre, that sort of thing, sure. Because it's odd you should mention that, because I'm not going to name names in case he doesn't want me to, but an artist associate of mine is asked to paint me. And he's going to do, and I swear he's going to do a life-size painting.
Is it nude?
So it's going to be like, it's not nude, sadly. It's going to be, I tried to get him to do it nude, but he wasn't interested. We were just going to both sit there naked. Any excuse. And it's going to be about 7 foot tall, but then it's going to have my shadow, so therefore it's going to be about 9 foot long.
Yeah.
So 9 foot. She just says, yeah, we've all been there. It's so old hat. Painting Steve Merchant full size. But so I'm looking forward to that enormously. How do you find, because it's always struck me as an odd thing, the idea of being an artist as sort of a professional artist. Do you make a living from it?
No, I don't know anybody that does make a living from it. I think you have to be super famous, like Damien Hirst, really.
Sure.
So I do have a couple of other jobs as well. Youth work, and I do some tutoring as well.
Right.
Adult education. So yeah, I mean, it would be good to make money out of it, but I don't know when that's going to happen.
Have you, you've sold paintings, though?
Yeah, I have, I've sold quite a lot of stuff over the years.
Now, obviously, in the world of comedy and media, there's a lot of bitchiness and backbiting. Is that also true in the art world? Are you all sat around sort of slagging off Damien Hirst's kind of diamond-encrusted skull?
I don't really know quite what to make of that. I mean, I think he's trying to make a statement, but I'm not quite sure if it works.
It's just that he can flog a skull with some diamonds in it for whatever. How many?
50 million.
How much?
50 million.
50 million.
Yeah.
That's extraordinary. I think you're doing that. I think clearly no one's interested in animals, so skulls is the way to go. I have to say though, I did go and see the Damon Hirst exhibition when he had the shark in and it was remarkable.
Yeah,
it was
it's
extraordinary.
impressive. Yeah.
So a little round of applause, please, for doing it.
Yeah, well done, Damien.
If he wants to spread any of that cash around, he's more than welcome. So what tune have you chosen for us?
I've chosen Blood Out of Stone by The Fall.
Okay, any particular reason? Are you a massive Fall fan?
Well, I am a Fall fan, and I've followed them over the years, since the 80s. And I've been to see them a few times. The first time was in 1984, and then I actually saw them this year.
And presumably no one in the band the same as
Well,
before?
yeah, different
It's not
lineups
working.
every time because you keep sacking everyone.
Of course. Well, listen, I've never quite been converted to the Fall, so maybe Blood Out of a Stone will do that for me. Blood Out of Stone, I don't know how it's pronounced. So listen to the Fall. We'll stay there, Heather, and we'll speak to you after after the Fall. The Fall, Blood Out of Stone, the choice of Heather in Edinburgh. Heather, you still there?
Yeah,
I've enjoyed that tune.
yeah, it's good.
It's great fun, yeah. And is that one that they played live when you saw them?
No, they were.
He's
playing
got
all
about
stuff, you know.
5,012 tracks to choose from,
Yeah,
hasn't he?
no, there was so many to choose from, but I've never heard that played in the radio before.
Oh, really?
So that sounded good.
I'm very proud to have been the first person to have done that for you. We were talking briefly before about the House Martins and how their drummer once hit someone in the head with an axe. What would your weapon of choice be if you had to murder someone? Maybe your boyfriend. He's driving you mad with his incessant noodling in the next room.
A machine gun.
Machine gun. Go straight. She already had an
Such
answer.
a quick answer.
I imagine he's there next door listening now, a little bit anxious. Maybe just closing the door up. I don't know where you get a machine gun from. Would it be one of the old school sort of the guns like you saw in 20s gangster films?
No, it'd be one of the ones on a stand, you know, that...
Right, yeah, with and a friend of yours having to feed through the bullets. That's great, yeah. And
magazine of bullets or
why
whatever.
stop with your boyfriend, you know? Just
Yeah.
take down half of Edinburgh. Why not? Good luck with that. And do let us know if you're going to do that. Text us, 64846, and we'll pop up there with a camera crew. All right, well, thank you very much indeed, Heather.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you very much indeed, Heather, in Edinburgh. And if you'd like to get in touch and recommend a tune, then you do what? Harry, you know, don't you?
Yeah, well, you could either text 6406, but probably the best thing you should be doing.
No, never text 646. That's madness. Why don't you know the rules by now?
Well, why not in other... You could email
No,
Stephen.
don't email. No, you have to forget it. You don't know what you're talking about. Stop. You don't know what you're talking about. No. Rufus, you know what to do, don't you?
Anyone who wants to suggest a track for the Steve Show should go to the bbc.co.uk/6 Music website, click on Stephen's face, and then follow the links to suggest a track.
Now, the reason I was all over a fluster, Steve, is because we've got House Martin's drummer news in. Hot on the email, not on the text, 64046. The House Martin's drummer used to live in York. He might still do, we're not sure. He played for a punk band called Percy, and he was still dead good on the drums. We don't think he's attacked anyone recently, but not been out for a bit, so he may well have done.
Who
We
knows?
just don't know.
I think we probably should stop talking about him for libel reasons.
Yeah, it's true, actually.
Thanks for being concerned. Okay, so obviously each week I like to delve into the pigeonhole that I have here at BBC Six Music, and from there draw out tunes which have caught my ear. And there's an awful lot of bilge, but normally I like to dig out a few things which have intrigued me. And the Yeah Yeah Yeahs have a new EP on the way. It's called Is, and here's the lead track from it, Down Boy. So the new EP is called Is, and is released on July 24th. Very confusing. Just two Ises. When you go in the record shop, just ask for that. Don't confuse. Don't embarrass yourself by asking for three Ises, because you'll get some funny looks from those swine. It's Down Boy Yeah Yeah Yeahs. I have enjoyed the Yeah Yeahs in the past, but have you, Sammy?
I've always loved the Yeah Yeah Yeahs. I've actually forgotten her name. Jude knows it. What's the name? Karen O. She's so cool. If I could be anyone other than, God, it would be her. She's amazing.
Wow,
I've
that's
always
the
loved
only
them.
two choices for you, is it?
God and Karen O.
Yeah.
Or my dad. No, forget that.
That's
yes.
weird.
It's a joke. Anyway,
Helping to give birth to yourself.
oh
That's
God,
just so
that's as
confusing.
bad as that story and the woman, and she's going to have it. Never mind. Right. Yeah, no, I love them, and I love